treasure from the past were made available to Glang as a bankroll. Squads of devoted thugs whose chiefest pleasure was to kill and maim were his willing instruments, and he himself was core and commander of a sophisticated inner circle of Kali, Western-educated priests from every institution of learning, from MIT to Cambridge, from Princeton to UCLA, who had absorbed the latest and most dangerous advances of the Western world's science, only to turn it to their own fell devices. This was the ancient and all but irresistible force marshaled against poor Ringo and the seemingly harmless bauble on the index finger of his left hand. The boys had discussed the unusual affair of Sam Ahab's studio, as well as Ringo's earlier apparition of a fishing rod. But no matter how long the discussion, there seemed to be no sense to either subject, and they finally dismissed them from their thoughts and returned to their normal carefree approach to life. Number 1. It was several days later when John and Ringo together stepped into an elevator in a modern office building to pay a business call on an agent. They were pink and happy from a sound night's sleep after a successful television appearance and had bantering peace with the world. Little did they notice the concealed trapdoor in one wall of the elevator, directly under a red arrow pointing to the letters OFF. What was at first attracted you to me? Ringo asked as the elevator door slid shut behind them. down the street in front of the Beetle home to mail some answers to fan letters. Squatting like an evil toad inside the mailbox was Buddha, prepared with one of the new model snap-on handcuffs. One leg held one of his own hands. The other was open and ready for Ringo. Ringo pushed a bulky envelope of autographed 8x10 glossies into the box. It was an outside envelope, and he had to give it an extra shove. As he gave it a final push, Buddha reached up and caught his wrist, pulling it into the box. Ringo emitted a startled yelp. In the gloomy interior of the box, Buddha's incisors shone with sinful glee, and he came near to gibbering with excitement. Quickly, Buddha swung open the handcuff forward and snapped it tight, but in his excitement, he snapped the handcuff on his own wrist. How does that even happen? What? Ringo, his hand free once more, reeled back and hurried home. He was alone again when the third attempt was made. Number 3. This time he had left his mates to finish off an interview with the teenage correspondent of the Formosa Good Times Daily, after which he betook himself to an instrumental shop to scout for a new snare drum. He had spent a pleasant half-hour doodling with bongos, admiring cymbals, testing the density of snares, and even trying out a set of castanets. To the approbation, I think that's how you say that. To the approbation of the other customers in the shop, before heading into late afternoon pedestrian streams homeward. Out of consideration for traffic jamming, he concealed his identity as best he could, bending his head low into his furled coat collar and keeping his beringed hands in his pockets. Partway down the block from the music emporium, Ringo was enraptured by a weighing machine. It offered not only weight, but the weighee's fortune, all for a halfpenny. Ringo stopped, mounted the weighing platform, and dropped a coin into the proper aperture. The machine whirred and rattled. Ringo was looking up at an attractive bird in sealskin boots, so his hand was a moment delayed in reaching down for the fortune-weight ticket. A blessed moment, for just before his finger groped into the opening, a razor-sharp guillotine blade descended, slicing the fortune ticket in two. Ringo drew back his hand as if he had been stung. Carefully, using the gummed end of a pencil, he fished out the ticket out. Put together, he could read 165 pounds. Oops. George was with Ringo the fourth time the Collie Gang struck. Wow, Collie Gang, that's kind of an odd way to put it, I think. But no less accurate, I suppose. Anyway, number 4. Once again, it was broad daylight. George and Ringo, en route to a reception for an American disc jockey, remembered that they had left no instructions with the lawnmower about the week's laundry. Sometimes it was contributed to starving young children. Sometimes it was sliced into neat souvenir packets for fans. Sometimes it went to wax museums in various quarters of the globe. And sometimes it was merely laundered. Without explicit instructions, the lawnmower was likely to pout, however. I'll tell him to send it to the World's Fair, Ringo said, wherever there is one. He popped into a sidewalk phone booth because they still had them back then. As George stood outside, Ringo lifted the receiver, deposited his coin, and dialed. In a long sewage tunnel under the street, a gang of husky thugs, led by the still handcuffed Buddha, yanked on a heavy chain in response to a command from Clang. Paul said Clang. The thugs tugged, and the chain, attached to the phone booth, tightened and exerted its pull. George, seeing the booth containing his pal begin a quivering descent through the pavement, made a manful attempt at opening the door to free Ringo. Too late. The bottom of the door was already caught below the pavement level. George pounded from the outside of the booth, Ringo from the inside. Well-bred passers-by pretended not to see the outrage and consoled each other with memories of England's glorious past. The sweating thugs, under Clang's direction, did their work well. The booth was now almost fully underground. George alternately pounded and tugged at the vanishing roof, but to no avail. As the roof sank below street level, George was seized with a sudden urban inspiration. Dashing swiftly, he deserted the kidnapping site and located the nearest guide to London's underground sewage system. The colored sewer map located for George and his present position, as well as the most likely route for Ringo's future. Memory of the map impressed on his quick mind. George headed down the street, checking off manhole covers, and at last removed one, but there was nothing below. George referred to the second hand of his watch and tried another manhole cover farther down. Now he was warm in the dank darkness lying beneath him. He just caught sight of Ringo's booth, now lying on its side like a glass coffin, moving away. Ringo was struggling with the door. George scurried on towards other manholes, other underground exits. In the tunnel below, heat and lack of air was taking its toll of the thug chain gang. One exhausted helot fell down in his tracks, crying water. Speaking of, Clang cursed and tried to drive the others on, but the example of the first dropout had sapped the morale of the others. Some dropped the chain altogether. Others simply stood idle, stubbornly refusing to pull. Buddha, to give the devil his due, continued to try, but more than one man's strength was needed. Clang called upon Kali. Buddha seconded his pleas. Amid muttering and faint rebellion, the gang was formed again, but this delay had been enough. Ringo forced the door and rolled himself secretively towards the nearest drew abreast of his friend and clapped him on the back admiringly. "There's always a long wait at the Baker Street sewer," George said, as the two boys strolled away without a backward glance. Attempt number 5 involved all 4 of the crew and threw some additional light upon the threat that menaced them. Number 5. They were playing a guest appearance in a smart nightclub. Taking a break from their exertions, they had repaired to the gentleman's room for a revivifying wash-up. Paul and Ringo had finished washing their hands. Ringo turned to the blower-dryer, his hands held beneath it, and stepped on the operating pedal. But this blower did not blow. Instead, it was a giant suction device of incredible power. It sucked the sleeves from Ringo's smartly tailed jacket, and then went after him, body and soul. Trousers, shirt, and shoes followed the jacket into the pseudo-blower. Ringo pranced unhappily in his underwear, unable to remove himself from the suction area. In a trice, Paul had come to Ringo's rescue, but only to lose his own clothing in the suction stream. So much pressure was building up that miscellaneous items from throughout the handsomely appointed lavatory were being swept away. Soap, towels, and signs reading "All employees must wash their hands" flew past the struggling Paul and Ringo. John threw open the door as Ringo grasped Paul's ankle, and to save him from total destruction, Paul held onto a sink, and the sink came loose and was sucked away. John, from the doorway, was slowly but certainly being drawn into the whirlpool. Likewise George, when he appeared on the scene. The boys held on to each other as best they could, but it seemed, as ceramic and metal whizzed by them, that they could be no match for the deadly suction. Suddenly, from a hidden opening beneath the blower, there emerged a delicate female hand. It turned the dryer level from on to off, and the 4 beetles collapsed in a moist heap on the debris-scattered tile flooring. The hand was withdrawn, but the oblong opening remained uncovered for just a moment. In that moment, there appeared in it the beautiful face of Ame, erstwhile high priestess of Kali. Winking one large and luminescent eye, she spoke in clear and somehow reassuring tones. "I am not what I seem," Ame said, and vanished. All 4 boys blinked. "My shoulders soaked right through to the skin," John complained. "There's more to this than meets the eye," Ringo said mournfully. The other 3 beetles could not forbear laughing heartily at Ringo's sudden apprehension. "Everyone laughs at Ringo's sudden apprehension," it says in large text. "Ho," laughed George. "Ho, ho," laughed Paul. "Ho," laughed John, still rubbing his shoulder. But the very next day, the 6th attack came the very next day, as the Beatles were busily engaged at their recording studio. a sensitive balance that had made their name a byword throughout the civilized world. Visions of sugar plums and another gold record danced through their heads as they played. Only the engineer in his glassed-in booth seemed disquieted. He was shaking his head unhappily even before the number was finished and the boys had downed tools. But somewhere, the engineer said, "Yeah, I heard it too," verified a technician. "Buzzing noise," and the engineer repeated. "Shall I ask them?" He picked up the mic and connected to the world outside his booth. "Boys, are any of you buzzing?" "No thanks," John said politely. "I've got the car." Ba-dum-tsh. "Hey," the engineer said. "No, listen, you'll have to do it again. Extraneous sound here." He turned up his own volume, through the whole room he could hear a strange buzzing noise, not unlike a saw cutting hardwood. "Was it you?" John turned to Paul. "No," Paul shook his head. "Don't look at me," George said. Ringo smiled placatingly as a saw in the wood floor below completed its circular cut around him. Where Ringo was suddenly nothing. Nothing save a scattering of his drum kit and a gaping hole. As soon as Ringo fell to the floor below, clang, for naturally it was he behind these foul devices, and his gang spirited him away quickly to a deserted warehouse section of the studio building. There was nothing for the other Beatles to see when they gaped through the hole, except sawdust. In his hideaway, Clang motioned to the two thugs, who held Ringo firmly in an iron grasp. Buddha, always helpful, albeit still handcuffed. What? Added his own weight as Clang plugged in an electric hedge clipper and moved forward toward Ringo's left arm. Ringo cried soundlessly against the gag in his mouth. The thugs and Buddha held his arm in position. Clang advanced, the steel teeth of the clipper humming in his grip. From behind a storage rack, Ame watched. Just as Clang was almost within arm-clipping distance, she picked up a heavy transcription disc and pegged it at him. It caught the high priest smartly in the middle of his back and bounced from him to smite one of the thugs holding Ringo. The hedge cutter fell forward and took a hefty bite out of Buddha. Ringo, shrewdly taking advantage of the disturbance, was up and away through the far door held open by Ame. She slammed and locked the door when Ringo was through it. "Who?" Ringo said, turning to her. "Flee," Ame directed curtly. "Are you?" Ringo finished. "Run," Ame commanded. "Oh," Ringo said.